Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, it's review time for the Apple iPad 7th Gen. I picked this up actually August 14th of 2020 this year. And this is the 128 gig version iPad. And I thought, well, I think it's time to do a review on this thing. I've had a lot of time to mess with it, use different programs. Of course, I'm now upgraded to iOS 14.2. Kind of wished that it would have came with 12 and I would have left it there, but unfortunately, that's the way it goes. Anyways, I did have two other iPads. I actually ended up getting rid of them when I got this because it's like, I got two, I don't really need two technically. I didn't really need a new one, but I wanted a new one and I wanted to stay up on technology. And sometimes we should probably keep around some of our older tech just in case. And so I'm probably going to go out and find another older iPad that still has iOS 12 on it because of one program. One, yes, and it's going to cost me like probably $200 to get a used iPad again. Anyway, so you guys have heard a lot about this iPad, I'm sure by now. If you've checked out a lot of videos online and you're looking at this one, you've heard some opinions that probably were a little disturbing, like washed out colors perhaps, or not a very sensitive screen, which is actually also a lie as well. Seriously, this thing's got a very sensitive screen, and I have a very thick tempered glass screen protector on this thing, and I can just gently touch this thing and have absolutely no issues. Okay, you can run multiple apps in the background and flip between them one at a time. There's also the ability to do side-by-side with this thing as well, which is a nice new feature. And it's wonderful, except I don't use it, and I have no use for it. So if you want to see how that actually works, there are thousands of videos, I'm sure, on that and how that actually works on this iPad. The programs I run are very minimal at best. I run OnSong for my worship songs. I run a guitar chord program that has over 30,000 plus guitar chords in it. I have the program that runs the software for programming my Yamaha DTX Multi-12 percussion pad. I have a few other guitar programs for downloading music with, as well as Guitar Tap Pro, which is the one program I need iOS 12 for. Why? Well, it still launches just fine and dandy, which is great. However, when it comes to being able to scroll the lyrics, it no longer scrolls the lyrics since we went above iOS 12. And the company is actually, in my opinion, very ludicrous, because instead of supporting the program for new iOSs, because we all had to pay for Guitar Tap Pro. I mean, it was like $4, but still. Very powerful, very intuitive program, works great, flexibility is there, organizes things great, multiple different ways of changing key signatures, very awesome, very powerful. They come out with Guitar Chord Pro. I will be doing a separate video on these two programs to show them full functionality side by side, but Guitar Chord Pro, yes, the scrolling feature will work for you in 14.2. However, when it comes to the actual songs, you can download up to 60 tops for free. After that, you've got to pay for subscriptions, and it hauls the songs mostly from ultimateguitarchordtaps.com website, which is where Guitar Tap actually pulls them all from, Guitar Tap Pro. And yeah, we can't scroll anymore with Guitar Tap Pro, and yet the songs are 100% free on it because we bought the program. Now we get a free program, now we got to pay for everything. It's like, this is stupid. Anyways, so color palette is fantastic. Sensitivity is fantastic. Lots of storage. No iPad in history that I'm aware of has ever been able to upgrade the memory internally, but you can hook external drives onto iPads now, which is great. So that's kind of a, we'll call it the temporary storage solution for more access to stuff. So you can do that, which is fine. And you know, it doesn't bother me that iPads are not upgradable as far as inbound storage goes. Like even Android devices, they come with a certain amount and they can only go to a certain maximum, right? Whereas with an iPad, you buy it as either a 16, a 32, a 64, a 128, 256, half a terabyte, or 1 terabyte. You buy different screen version sizes, different processor power levels, different amount of RAMs, and so on. Now this thing has a lot more RAM in it than my last iPads did. And if you want to know what iPads I have owned in the past, check my channel. Just do a search for iPad. You'll come up with stuff I've owned before for iPads. Now I am finding myself that I'm getting fed up as far as Guitar Tap Pro goes, and I'm going to actually have to go out and buy another iPad that has iOS 12 on it again, because I really miss using that program. I love how it works. I hate the new one. It is just garbage in my opinion. But like I said, separate video on that, so stay tuned. Especially if you're a guitar player. Anyways, OnSong does work fantastic though, but it only pulls from certain areas. Now you can take your files from Guitar Tap Pro and like do a whole select all, copy and paste the majority of them into OnSong and get them to work fine, and chord lineup and so on. It's a bit of a process, but you can do it and still be able to use the program in that sense. So there are always workarounds. But I use it. Dropbox I use when I need it. I have electronics programs on here because I still do a lot of electronic stuff and modifications, repair stuff. And I do need access to those programs because I don't have every single circuit plugged away in my brain. But I do also have smart technology programs on here. We run the majority of our house now off of smart tech devices, be it cameras or wall plugs, power bars, etc. And it's fantastic. And of course we have lighting, or light bulbs as well, that change multiple colors and dance, and it's kind of cool stuff. So smart tech is actually quite awesome. And I do my surfing on here. I do use my photo program a lot because that's of course where our music is stored for easy fast access, as well as any video files that you have, pictures and so on. I do use my camera app a lot, and of course I use FaceTime never. FaceTime is handy if I ever want to use it, so I've left it on the desktop. Maps is handy if I ever want to use it, it's on the desktop. Pages program, I use it mainly just for writing songs when I get inspired somewhere, if I have my tablet with me. I don't use iMovie, although it is on the main desktop. If I ever do want to use it, I can, because I would like to be able to master iMovie for iOS as well as the iMac version as well. They are different in how they work in a lot of ways. Kind of like GarageBand. GarageBand is here just for tinkering around with and just having fun. It's not a functional program like it is on the iMac, in my opinion, because to be as functional and efficient on GarageBand on iOS as you are on the iMac, yeah, it's a massive learning curve, and it's like, I don't like it. So I'll stick with my iMac for GarageBand. Besides, I get a bigger screen. I got 27-inch iMac, so I got lots of screen room to do what I want. I have other programs here, obviously. I've called this the Lifestyle folder, and that's where this stuff is kept, etc. But, I mean, sensitivity is fine. Like, I have no qualms whatsoever about it, you know? I mean, it's just fantastic. Home button. Now, here's some glitches for you. Actually, 2 glitches have arisen since the 14.2 update. Number one, actually no, once it went to 14, the first glitch was the power button, turning your iPad on. It takes so long now. You got to hold that button for about 5 seconds or more, then release it, then it turns on. That got slowed down. It used to be like like a click kind of thing. This is about as fast as that, and it would start to boot up. Not anymore. It's a drag, and we're going to show you that too in a second. The other glitch I found was actually today with my home button. I had programs running in the background. So if we fire up a few programs here and just get them going. Now I only had like 3 programs tops, but we're going to go for more. Okay, so now we've got a bunch of programs. I couldn't get to this area. The home button wouldn't do the double click to allow me in here to shut these things down. So I thought, okay, what if I just shut off the iPad and, you know, do it that way, and then just reboot the iPad? What would happen? Well, I'm kind of wondering now that the home button's working again since I've rebooted, because I had to reboot it to get it working again. camera app. Okay, so you can see we have 3 programs. So let's just go ahead and shut this thing down. So we got to press and hold forever. Okay, and we'll shut it down. We'll give that a second to cycle down and shut down. It takes a few seconds for it to completely shut down. Now the cameras work fantastic on this thing. Front camera, back camera, great. Audio pickup, the mics are actually fairly good on this thing, which is really good. Quite happy with that. So now let's try and turn it back on. So if we just do a click and let go, it does nothing. It used to do that until iOS 14. So now we got to click and hold a little bit longer, and then it'll finally boot up. Okay, so things have slowed down a little bit like that. Now the same thing happened to my iMac. Once I had put Mojave onto my iMac, I would like hold the button for like a while, because even doing a fast click it did nothing. But then when Catalina updated, everything straightened right out. Now I just click the button really fast on the back of my iMac to fire it up, and it's an instant gong, and it fires up, and I'm at the desktop in like 12 seconds or less. Mind you, I do have an SSD drive in my iMac now too. So what happens with our programs? They're still here, which is fine. It does remember that, and that may be a good thing. You know, some people like that, some people may not. However, at least we got access, and we can now go and swipe and close these things because we don't need them right now, and that's fine. So, color is fantastic, sensitivity is fantastic, speed of launching programs is great. Having multiple apps open at the same time, and having them run in the background and one in the front most that you're going to be using at that time, you're not getting lag. This thing has got plenty of horsepower in it. It's got plenty of extra RAM. RAM also helps to equal out horsepower with your CPU processor. Okay, if you have too many apps open, you use up too much of your memory resources, and then you start running really low on RAM or memory for running programs. So having more RAM available in this is actually better than my last 2 iPads, which were both identical, by the way. They were both the exact same iPad. It's just that one ended up having 13 or 14 on it. The other one had like iOS 12, which I had kicked myself after selling the one with iOS 12. So I'm going to go out and buy another one with iOS 12 and keep it this time. I didn't think I'd need 2 iPads, but I've also been kind of holding out and hoping, just hoping and praying that Apple would do another OS update for this thing and the scroll feature would work again, and then I could just shut off auto updates at that point. You know, I mean, I'm not really on the net with this thing a lot, and so I'm not overly concerned about security in that sense, right? So I just, yeah, I want access back to my program. It's my favorite program for doing my songs with, other than OnSong. Anyway, fantastic machine. Battery life is actually quite good on this thing. Now you'll see it is plugged in right now with a cable. My power cable is plugged in. I have an audio cable coming at the back. Is because it spends the majority of its time sitting on my iClip on the stand. So I'm sitting here playing songs on the guitar, or I'm playing them on my keyboard, or I'm playing on my drum kit. So my iPad stays plugged in and actually turned on all the time. I just kind of like put it to sleep, basically, is what I do. It works for me. So the only time my iPad actually comes off the charger, or even gets powered down for that matter, is when I'm going to church for a band practice night. Otherwise, yeah, it's never shut down. And of course, like I said, otherwise it's always on the charger. The only other time it comes off the charger is when I need to plug in my little cool plug system here, which allows me to program my sample pad percussion kit. And then, of course, once I'm done, I unplug it and I plug the power cord back in, keep the battery topped up all the time. So this way, I'm going to get a lot longer lifespan out of my battery if I'm actually leaving it plugged in and peaked all the time. So I'm going to just zoom out here for you guys now. I think as far as the money goes, I mean, you can get these at different prices. I got mine actually on a monthly payment plan through Rogers. Cell phone, which allows me to have a data plan with it, so I can have data or I can have Wi-Fi, either or. And besides, not many of us can, you know, just go out and say, ah, here, let's drop $500, $600, $700, $800, $1,000, $2,000 down on an iPad. Yeah, monthly payments work better, and it only costs me like $30 a month with my data plan, and I have unlimited internet on this thing. Okay, so that's actually quite great, so I don't ever have to worry about data overages. So that's fantastic. Now, if you're buying these things outright, you have to decide, you know, is it worth spending the extra couple bucks? Now, they do have this in a 64 gig and a 128 gig model. I don't know if they have any other versions of that. Just that's what Rogers had on their website, so I bought the 128 gig. Because 64 gig is more than adequate for me, but I wanted more, okay? Because you never know, I might get into doing more things, or I might get into a lot more different types of music gear programs, and I'm going to want more and more storage capability, especially once I start throwing a whack load of videos on here, whack load of MP3 files. Yeah, I might end up having to eventually go with external storage capabilities, which I can now do with the iPad, which is fantastic. You know, because a lot of the older iPads, they didn't support the external storage capability for getting stuff that way. So, yeah, it kind of works. Now, the side-by-side thing, like I said, check out other videos on YouTube if you want to see that feature. And there's probably a couple other features that are involved in iOS 14. But, like I said, for my purposes, that's what my review is about. It's my experience with it for my purpose. Your purpose may be slightly different than mine or dramatically different, who knows. Either way, rest assured, the color is fantastic on this thing. So if somebody says it's got like a washed out kind of palette, I don't know, they're totally incorrect. There's nothing wrong with it. If anybody says anything about poor sensitivity for scrolling and whatnot, they're absolutely incorrect. I have a thick screen glass protector on this thing, and I'm still able to scroll perfectly well. Launching amps, swiping them closed, etc., etc. I mean, I have no issues. So I think maybe they're just overly critical, or they have a much higher end iPad that may have a much better display on it, which is definitely probable. It's going to be better, right? You know, because the more bucks you spend, obviously, on Apple gear, the better you get. And yes, there are iPads that have a far superior color palette. Maybe they have a lot better clarity, sure, but we're talking about this. We're not comparing apples to oranges even from the same company here. You can't fairly compare even a 12-inch iPad to this, because it's not. It's not a fair comparison, you know. So that's kind of how I look at it. This is what it is. What is it like for what is it? How is it, you know, respond, and how does it work with programs in the background? Are we getting lag? No. Do we have a problem with color? No. Do we have a problem with anything else in this thing? Technically, no. Other than the two glitches I mentioned, which are software glitches. They're not hardware glitches, but they do affect the hardware. The software does affect the hardware, at least until the next iOS update, and hopefully that straightens it out, you know. And we'll be fine. And that has been known to happen with iDevices before, you know, with iOS updates. Sometimes it's a great update and fixes some things, but messes up other things up, right? And then they got to fix that problem next. This is software for you. Anyways, guys, that's what I got. I'm happy with this thing. I think it's fantastic. It's a great buy at any brand new price, as long as it's not a ludicrous price, of course. Which can happen, so don't try buying off of Amazon if they carry them, because you're probably going to get ripped off. But I got mine, like I said, from a cell phone provider for $30 a month with my data plan. Otherwise, I think it was like $20 a month before that for like 2-year terms. So, you know, to me it was worth doing it that way. Anyways, what else can I tell you about it? Buy your cases from Amazon, definitely. Buy your glass from Amazon. Put a glass protector on your iPad. Every iPad ever made, they say Gorilla Glass. Should be strong if it's got the word Gorilla. Don't count on it. And that goes for even Android devices. I mean, they're just as vulnerable. Glass is glass, but a glass protector and the way they work against a glass surface does protect your screen. I have notoriously dropped iPads in the past, and I've always had a screen protector on. I've never once damaged the main screen. I've done damage to the screen protector, and I had to change it. But I've never, ever done damage to any iPad screen whatsoever from a drop, and that's right into a gravel driveway, where the stones just went right into it. It fractured my protector. It left the main glass alone. So do protect your iDevices, whether it be an iPhone or an iPad, with a good case, as well as the screen protector, and yeah, it'll be flawless. And this way, when resale happens and you want to sell it, you'll get more money out of something that's in cherry condition than something that is in garbage condition. So that's another reason why to protect your toys or your devices. But yeah, that's it. That's all. Leave your comments down below, like always, guys. And give me your thoughts on what you think of it, of this iPad. I got some more monkeying around to do. Stay tuned for the review of Guitar Tap Pro versus Chord Pro, pros and cons. And till then, we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.